Okay, hello again. Today is the 12th of July 2015, and I'm back for a couple of weeks because I have a video for today and a couple more that are ready to record. I stopped after the Celtic Cross series because I didn't have anything to say at that point, and I didn't want to make a video just for the sake of making one. But now I've got something to talk about that I think is going to be quite useful today and the next couple of weeks. The subject of this video was prompted by an email from somebody in Australia. She wanted to know what to do if the questioner comes for the reading but there's no question, or if the person wants just a general reading and doesn't have any particular questions. What do you do? So I'm going to tell you, I told her, but I'm going to tell you what works for me, and it may work for you as well, or you can adapt it to your own preferences. So somebody has no question. What you can do is just pick a card at random and start talking. And this may work out, it may be okay, but this approach of just picking a card and talking about it, it assumes that the card that you get is useful for the questioner, and also that it's going to be relevant and going to make sense to them as well. But you don't know, I think, when you just pick a card at random, and your assumption that it's relevant can be wrong. Because it could be not so much about the questioner, but about somebody the questioner knows, right? Or it could be you, the reader, talking about yourself, though you don't realize it at the time. And even if the card does refer to the questioner or is about the questioner's life, is it referring to the person's past? So it's already happened and the person can recognize it? Or is it about the person's present situation, so they may not recognize it? Or is it about the future? So the future card, it could be correct exactly, but because it's about the future, the question doesn't recognize that it's reality or it's truth. So they're going to feel left out of the reading, or they're not going to really trust what the reader is saying, because you're starting off with something that requires a leap of faith on their part. And in some ways it doesn't make sense. So that's picking a card. But at the same time, what can happen is this. I once heard a tarot-related radio show in 2011. And the host was saying that when you add, it was 2011, so when you add 2, 0, 1 and 1, you get 4. Right, so 2011 is a 4 year, and the fourth major trump is the Emperor. So 2011 is a good year to start a business or build an empire. Right, so this might be true, but I couldn't help but think that every year is a good year, or can be a good year to start a business or to start a major project. But let's say it's 2011 and you've been thinking of starting a business or whatever it happens to be, and the reader tells you something very general, right? 2011 is a good year. And what they say may not be that accurate, but you take it as confirmation of what you want, even if it's not really confirming anything. So you can hear what you want to hear, and you can get off track, or you can get sidelined into a dead end, or into a situation that's not going to really work for you. So saying that 2011 is a 4 year might seem quite profound and important and something to be taken seriously, but it's not automatically true for a lot of people, or it's not going to automatically apply to everybody or to their life. And also, as a general point, if you think about it, questioners at a tarot reading, as well as people generally, they want to believe what the reader says, right? So they're sort of predisposed to accept that what they're told is true. So they want to believe that what the reader is saying, even if what the reader is saying is very general, the questioner is impressed, or they interpret what is said as confirmation or proof that the reader knows their future, even when it's a general statement that can mean anything. Also, it's difficult to know what a card is pointing to when there's no context. So picking a card and talking about it can be as general as saying 15 plus 15 is 30. Right, so you tell me 15 is 30. Okay, I have to agree with you, but how does this relate to me? right? So you get a card, a card, and describe generally what it's about. But, I can agree with you, but how does it relate to me? And I may never know during the reading. So it may become clear during the reading, but you can end up not knowing what really the relevance is for you. But so if the reader says 15 and 15 is 30, but if they say you need 2 cartridges for your printer and they're $15 each, so 15 plus 15 is 30, you're going to need $30. So I can understand that. And it means something to me. So I've got a context, or I've got a background against which to understand what the reader's talking about. So let's say there's no question and the reader picks a card, and let's say you get the 5 of Pentacles, which shows financial difficulty of some sort. So, okay, so is this 5 of Pentacles, is it referring to the questioner? Is it referring to the past or now or the future? Or is it referring to somebody the questioner knows or cares about or doesn't like? Or is it the reader's own situation and concern? So what the reader says can be very general. Something like, you say fire is hot. Okay, we have to agree with you. But at the same time, people want to cooperate with the reader and the reading. So they agree, okay, fire is hot. And they agree with what you say, what the reader says, even if they don't see how it applies to them. But if you know the context, the message is going to be more clear about what the card means, or you're going to have a better the reader is going to have a better chance of getting it right, what the card means. So with all this in mind, if there's no question, begin by asking the questioner to pick 2 numbers, one between 1 and 9, and a second number between 0 and 22. Then the reader has 2 major trumps to talk about individually and in combination and in either order. And that provides a context against which to understand the reading. So you've got the reader, the questioner picks 2 numbers, and you relate the number to the major trump that goes with that number. So you get 2 cards you can talk about, and you can talk about what would be a good policy when dealing with the situation shown by the major trumps that are the numbers chosen. Right, so let's say somebody chooses 6 and 16. You're going to talk about the lovers and what that would show, and the strengths and weaknesses or the difficulties of the Lovers card. And then you talk about the Tower, number 16, what it indicates, what kind of situation it talks about, how best to handle the situation represented by the upset, let's say, of the Tower card. Or let's say somebody chooses 2 and 19. You're dealing with a very different situation because you've got the High Priestess, which is number 2, and the Sun card, which is number 19. So one is the 2 and 19 is a much more positive and maybe uplifting and progressive situation with prospects and possibilities, much more so than with 6 and 16, where you first have to get things organized and get things sorted out, or maybe redo things or reorganize or clean up a mess before you can start making progress. Whereas with 2 and 19, you can make progress immediately. So by picking a couple of numbers, the questioner is telling you something that's important for them right now and into the future. And the tarot can help them understand better what to do about whatever it is they're there to ask about, or whatever they're there to hear about. So by choosing the numbers, they may be describing a situation that they're going through, but they aren't sure about. Right, 6 and 16, what do I do about this upset in my relationship? Or maybe they're describing or want to know about something they wish they'd handled differently. I had an upset with this person I love or I'm in love with or living with, and I didn't handle it very well, so what should I have done differently? How can I handle the situation better? Or maybe they're going through something right now, 6 and 16. They have to make a decision, an important decision about what direction to go in. And they're afraid of upsetting other people. How do I handle the situation? So by you, the reader, talking about the symbolism of the numbers, that the person chooses. The interpretation of the numbers can be providing the questioner with good thoughts and good ideas about something that's going to be coming up in the future. But they're going to handle it better because you've given them some ideas about what they might do. So somebody choosing 6 and 16 is in a very different situation from a person choosing, let's say, 1 and 19, right? Or else if you think about the kind of situation the person would be in who chooses 9 and 12, right? You've got 9 for the hermit and 12 for the hanged man. So this looks like somebody who is isolated, who is experiencing or worried about a lack of power. The hanged man. You're stuck, you're suspended, and you're on your own because you're the hermit. So this kind of scenario might be true, or it might be just imagined, but that's what the person is feeling or what the person is dealing with. So the reader can talk about how to get the most out of the hermit for number 9 and the hanged man for number 12, or how the person can make the most of the situation. So with the hermit card, maybe you talk about make the most of time when you're on your own. So rather than being on your own and being annoyed about it, understand that you've got a good chance because you've got no interruptions, so you're on your own. You can go over what you've got or what you've been doing and decide what you want to keep in your life, and also figure out what you want to get rid of because it no longer appeals to you, or you've got time on your own, uninterrupted, to think about what you don't want and the best way to remove it from your life. Make use of time alone and you'll be glad. Or let's say you've got contrast this with 3 and 19, the Empress and the Sun. And this is a much more friendly and social and sociable combination with the Empress, the social hostess, and the Sun card. Happiness and contentment and enjoyment of interaction with people. So the situation you would describe for that person is very different from what you would be talking about with the 9 and 12 person. So you talk about the two numbers, and by talking about them, it may prompt a real question or two that the questioner that you can then answer. Right, okay, so you talk about 9 and 12, so the person says, okay, makes sense because I'm doing this and this, so what should I do about this person? Then you've got a question, and you can pick a card to answer how to deal with that person. Or maybe the person wants to know about beginning life again or beginning with a new job. What's the best kind of job to go for? So you've now got a question, pick a card for the best kind of job to go for. But even if it doesn't give rise to any particular questions, you've still got a background against which to relate the cards you do choose. So let's say you've had the discussion about the numbers chosen and there's still no question. So you think, okay, I'm going to pick a card, and you get that 5 of coins that we spoke about earlier that shows financial difficulty. So you relate the 5 of coins to the person who chose 3 and 19. So you know they're sociable. So maybe with getting the 5 of Pentacles, you talk about spending less. It's important to spend less, or be more choosy about where the money goes or what it goes on. Or maybe with the Empress and the Sun card, you talk about the importance of being generous and that you get back what you give out. So when you're well off and doing well, don't forget about those other people who aren't as fortunate right now. Right? So, because maybe the 3 and 19 person has been spending money on themselves. And so the reader has a chance to point out the value and the benefit of helping out other people instead of just spending on yourself. On the other hand, let's say you get that 5 of Pentacles card with the person who's chosen 9 and 12, right? The Hermit and the Hanged Man. You can have a slightly different take on the meaning of the card. So even though we're still talking about financial difficulty, for instance, with the 5 of Pentacles, you might talk about money, but you could also describe or discuss values and make some points about knowing what we care about so we know what to spend money on. And with the Hermit and the Hanged Man, we have to think that money is going to be tight or the questioner would do well to economize or control their spending for a while at least. Instead of keeping their fingers crossed the income is going to increase. It might, but they're still better off being frugal. That, I think, is it. So if there's no question, instead of just beginning with picking a card at random, get the question to pick a number between 1 and 9 and one between 0 and 22. That gives you 2 cards you can talk about to set the scene or describe what's going on. Then you may get a question or two you can answer, or if you don't have a question or two, you at least have, the questioner has at least as a context against which to make sense of the cards that do come up. That's it for the moment. So next week, I can't remember what it's about, but there's 2 more. In the next couple of weeks, there's going to be videos appearing. So if you subscribe, then you'll get a notification. Otherwise, if you have comments or questions, leave them down below, and we'll talk to you in about a week. Okay, thanks very much. Bye-bye.